In today's video, we're talking about criminal littering. This is something that we see more and more often these days, and it happens in two different ways. A person can be charged under the Arizona revised statutes, or a person can be charged under a city code. We're seeing it more and more often out of Scottsdale, and so in this video I have the Scottsdale City Code listed out. The difference between the two is that really anybody in Arizona, doesn't matter where you are geographically, can be charged under the Arizona revised statutes. Only within the geography of Scottsdale or within any individual city can you be charged under the city code. And so let's talk about each different variety of the law here. Under the Arizona revised statute law, we look at the language of the law. It says that you cannot dump litter or destructive or injurious material anywhere that you're not allowed to do it. If you look it up, the statute's pretty broad, it's pretty vague in that regard. It talks about some other ways that you can't other things that you can't do. You can't put stuff in water, and you can't put soil on land. That's really what it boils down to. What the law is trying to prevent is people from dumping big amounts of things on other property where they shouldn't be dumping things. And so the law is very strict in some regards, and it's less strict in other regards. And the way that the law is written to penalize people is it will range all the way up from a Class 6 felony all the way down to a Class 2 misdemeanor. So in other videos we talk about this scale, but felonies are more serious than misdemeanors, and a Class 6 is at the low end of the felony scale, but it's still a felony, and so it's something to be taken seriously. The law distinguishes on how these could be charged, what classification, based on a couple different things. One is the actual weight, the amount of the dump, whatever is being littered or whatever is being dropped off, the weight, the amount, the size of that can impact how this is being charged. Similarly, location. Where is this material going? Is it going in waterways? Is it going on public highways? Is it going on somebody's private property? Those things might also impact how the crime's charged. And similarly, it's for the purpose. If there's a commercial purpose for some of these reasons for dumping things, the severity might be elevated. So that's how that works. Now, the difference here between the Arizona revised statute code and the Scottsdale City Code is that Scottsdale's a little bit more defined. It's a little bit more specific on what is prohibited, and it's also less serious in terms of the penalties and the classification of the charges. So under the Scottsdale City Code, it still uses the same term. It still uses the word litter, and so it says that you're prohibited from dropping or from allowing something to be dropped, any litter. Then if you scroll down in the statute, and the statute is 19-36A, it's in the Scottsdale City Code, the Scottsdale Revised Code, and you can find that right on their website. It's defining litter as being refuse, it's bottles, cans, really anything else. It has a big, long list of things, and it even includes dead animals. And so we see this most often charged in Old Town Scottsdale. Somebody will set a drink down, they will set something down before they get into an Uber, or they're coming out of an Uber and they set something down. Or we'll see it during the Waste Management Open. People will be leaving the golf course and then they will be setting a bottle down, or they'll be setting a can or a glass down or near a trash can. Something will happen to that effect where they're basically leaving something behind. And so it's a lot more minor than you see under the Arizona revised statute codes. The criminal littering under the ARS is really for people dumping truckloads of stuff off. We've also seen it under the ARS for people throwing a cigarette butt out the window, but generally it's more defined for more serious actual littering. The Scottsdale City Code is much more minor. It's people dropping off little objects, it's people leaving little things behind, but Scottsdale will enforce it, and they will enforce it under the city code. So we want to take a look at what that actually means. So if you're charged under this violation, it's not a felony, it's not even a Class 1 misdemeanor, it's actually a Class 2 misdemeanor. So as a reminder, Arizona has 3 classifications of misdemeanors. A Class 2 is right there in the middle. It also doesn't have any mandatory jail, no mandatory probation or any of those things. So some people will be afraid of that. They'll hear it's a crime, they'll hear it's a misdemeanor, and they'll say, am I going to go to jail? Well, you could theoretically go to jail. You could go to jail for 4 months. But the likelihood of that is probably low, depending on the facts of your case. So you just want to keep that in mind as well. The statute also does provide for some cleanup costs. And if that's part of the sentence, that's usually something that's pretty minor. You need to go out there, pick up some trash, or do something along those lines. We see that a lot in Scottsdale. We see a lot of the criminal littering charge For some reason, I swear they do not have trash cans in Old Town Scottsdale. They want people to be setting stuff down. If you're walking around with something in your hand, it's difficult to find a trash can. So they want to see that. They have cops on bikes just doing laps and laps and laps and waiting for people. The most common type of situation we see this is, like I said earlier, somebody's getting out of a car, they set a bottle down, they see an officer, they want to leave something behind, they just set it down, they have nowhere else to throw it. Boom, now they're being charged with a crime, and it's a Class 2 misdemeanor. So what do we do? Well, they are misdemeanors, both of them, and so they have to go through the formal criminal process. It may seem really dumb if you were flicking a cigarette out the car. It may be kind of very overwhelming to you to say, I just left a bottle on the ground. Why am I being charged with a crime? Reality is it has to go through the same process. The same exact rules of criminal procedure apply in a criminal littering case as they do in a DUI case, as they do in a domestic violence case. So you just want to understand that it may seem very minor to you, but in fact, the process is very serious and it can be quite extensive. The long and short of it is you want to avoid having a criminal conviction. That's generally what 99% of the people that we speak with, that's their major concern. And so how do we do that? So if we're going to fast forward past all of 3 months of legal work, people want to know, what's the outcome? What can I expect to be the final end result? And so in our experience, in either of these situations, we've gotten these reduced down to two different things predominantly. One, you're reducing the criminal littering charge into a civil littering charge, essentially is what it is. Arizona calls it differently. They don't call it littering. If it's littering, it's criminal. But there are other provisions in different sections of the Arizona Code. One that we've had success with is, I have listed down here, it's the ARS 28898. So if you look that up, that's actually in the traffic code. And what that is saying is that you're basically leaving unwanted materials or hazardous materials or debris. You're leaving debris on the roadway. And so for most of our cases, the facts will apply. So somebody's leaving something, exiting a car, entering a car, exiting an Uber or whatever it is, and they'll leave something on the side of the road. The same facts that apply in one of these two laws would apply under that statute. If you read that statute closely, you can make an argument that it applies. And this is a civil violation, so it's not criminal. So we've had some instances where we're able to reduce a criminal littering charge into a civil littering charge. You drop it down to 28898, A, B, or C. If you look those up, you might be able to find one that applies in your case. The other way that we've done it is by helping our clients getting enrolled into a diversion program. Diversion means as long as you do something, the government will actually dismiss the charges against you. And by doing something, I mean you do something. You go to a class, you go do community service, you take some time to pick up trash on the side of the road. Whatever it is that we're able to work out with the prosecutor's office, you go and do that. In exchange for doing that and proving that you've done that, we can take that back to the prosecutor, ask them nicely, please dismiss this charge. You want to make sure that's worked out with the prosecutor's office before you start going and picking up trash. Otherwise, you may just be doing something that's good for the community, but it may not help your case. So if you want to discuss these further, if you've been charged with either one of these, some other cities in Arizona have their own city codes, but the laws are all predominantly the same. But if you've been charged with any criminal littering violation and you want to speak to an attorney about it, you want to make sure that you do not have a criminal conviction for something that is probably quite silly, make sure you give our office a call. We offer free case evaluations. We're happy to sit down and speak with you. Thanks for watching.